outdated manual systems, causing pension delays, and a grossly, and this might annoy some of you, a grossly oversized parliament. Colleagues, we are 529 members of parliament for 46 million people. That's not right. I can see some of you looking at me angrily, but it's the reality. It is the reality. You have a parliament this huge. When we all show up in parliament, we actually don't have where to sit. People stand, others sit on other people's laps, and we are there. They've been promising to complete the new chambers. I think the initial completion date was 2019. We are in 2025. Every morning as I climb to go to my office, I hear people knocking things with hammers, but we don't know what progress is happening there. But they will knock to make you think they're doing some work. That is ROCO, by the way, which was given taxpayer money. And there's nothing happening there. But I'll tell you what I think. Parliament spends billions of shillings to rent offices for all of us as MPs, all staff, Kingdom Kampala, Development House, and so on. Billions of shillings. Could it be that the owners of these facilities are probably in one way or another engineering the delay of our chambers? Because for as long as our chambers are complete, Parliament will not be spending billions of shillings to hire offices for MPs and staff. No. But we are in 2025 and there's not much happening there. Your guess is as good as mine, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, in addition to that, we have got dozens upon dozens of presidential advisors, many of whom never meet him at all. You normally see them saying, now that I've got you at this function, let me tell you what I have to tell you. And a few, when he meets them, he's the one advising them. These things have got to change, ladies and gentlemen. We've got nearly 100 ministers. Whenever we need them in Parliament to respond to critical issues, they are absent. But they are there. Everybody and their mother has now become a minister. See some ridiculous fellows. And I'm saying ridiculous fellows because of the way they talk and operate. They are there also, honorable minister. This drama has got to change if we want to have a better country. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to establish a National Salaries Review Commission to ensure fair and competitive pay for public servants. That's something that has got to happen. So that even the salary of members of Parliament is determined by this same commission. And everybody else. That's how you grow a country. Today you have science teachers earning 3 or nearly 4 times what their arts colleagues are earning. But they're teaching the same schedules, the same duration, they sit in the same staff room. And you're saying you want to prop up sciences. But as you're doing that, schools don't have laboratories. Some of these children, they encounter burettes, test tubes, Bunsen burners, and all these other reagents for the first time in their final exam. But you say you're promoting sciences. I don't know what's wrong with us. We've got to digitize payroll and pension systems to reduce fraud and delays. And then reduce redundant government agencies to improve efficiency. And strengthen anti-corruption measures in hiring processes. You know that people in this country are hired to very high offices without qualifications. But because they are known by somebody who knows another, they get into those offices. And when that company is making losses year after year, you wonder why. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to realize why. Let me talk a bit about defense. The defense sector in Uganda faces significant challenges, including porous borders that facilitate illegal arms trafficking and terrorist infiltration. Poor accountability in budget allocations with opaque classified expenditures that I talked about, and inadequate welfare for UPDF soldiers, such as low pay, poor housing, and under-equipped medical facilities. These foot soldiers, and colleagues, I want to implore you to to feel sorry for them and for us to fight to see that they get what they deserve. Police officers, soldiers, prison staff, especially the junior ones, they earn too little. And then they live like refugees in their own country. It's a problem that has got to be fixed. Maybe that's why they behave the way they do behave. Some of them have got mental health issues. The fellow left home, there is no food. The children are sent away for school fees. Maybe that's why they treat us the way they do. See them beating an opposition leader or a journalist for that matter. And you wonder, where is this person's anger emanating from? Now you know. And I'm not justifying anything, by the way. But I'm only trying to be logical as a leader. That you don't expect people who live this way, who are treated this way, they'll find, because they will not go after their bosses. They'll come after the population because they're angry and hungry. We've got to change this as a country. We have got the UPDF's indiscipline, rather discipline and professionalism, that are undermined by politicization and lawful civilian trials in military courts. Very problematic issue. Even after the Supreme Court says the court-martial should not try civilians. We have several of these, our young people that are still held in jail. The likes of Yasin Machete, Sheriff Kalanzi, Anthony Agaba, also known as Bobby Young, and several others. They're still there. And then we say we have got rule of law. We've got to address these issues, colleagues, for us to have the kind of country that we will cherish. Of course, there's unchecked foreign deployments without parliamentary sanction. They deployed the UPDF in South Sudan and then came to Parliament belatedly. And even the Speaker, which I found problematic, the Speaker said, no, we're not going to debate this issue because it's of huge diplomatic concern. So why are we there as Parliament? Why? Because said, no, this one passed it immediately and then adjourned the House and ran away. Hey. Why are we then present? So that shows you that there's something fishy about some of these engagements. Of course, there are other concerns. Human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings and suppression of dissent, which further erode public trust. Additionally, this sector, defense, suffers from redundant funding, ghost soldiers on payrolls, and militarization of civilian roles, contradicting constitutional mandates for a non-partisan army. We strongly urge, one, we've got to improve welfare for UPDF personnel, including salaries, housing, and healthcare. We've got to enhance accountability for defense expenditures, particularly classified budgets. Then strengthen border security to prevent illegal arms trafficking, and improve training and equipment for national security forces. Let me talk about agriculture, which is a favorite for Madame Agnes Chirabo. She's very passionate about that, and rightly so. Government has not prioritized public spending on the agricultural sector, despite the AU CAP Malabo 2014 and the recent 2025 Kampala declarations for at least 10% allocation of the national budget to this sector. Budget allocation to the sector has stagnated at less than 3% of the national budget, with a component of more than 50% as external financing. The sectoral growth rate is at 3.8% out of the recommended 6%. About 40% of the agricultural processing factories countrywide are non-functional, but they tell us they are factories. With our tea and coffee factories operating capacity at only about 50%. So instead of bolstering that, they're now putting up new ones which are being given free taxpayers' money. Additionally, farmers are still faced with the challenge of agricultural extension and advisory services. Access to agriculture, credit and finance is problematic, that's at about 12%. The high cost of agricultural inputs and the influx of counterfeits, that's at 30%. The cries in the fisheries subsector. Fishermen are always hounded, beaten, killed because of trying to eke out a living. Limited progress on access to water for agricultural production. deteriorating prices of agricultural products on the world market, among others. Many Ugandans are malnourished. If you read reports from entities like Food Rights Alliance, many of our young people are malnourished. And yet, Uganda has got nearly half of all the arable land in East Africa. That's land suitable for agriculture. Nearly half of all the arable land in East Africa is here in Uganda. But we have people starving. This is what we must do. One, adhere to the implementation of the National Agricultural Finance Policy to align it with the Malabo 2014 and Kampala CAP 2025 declarations and commitment to align with NDP 4 targets. We've got to revamp the National Seed Company, expedite the National Agricultural Extension Strategy, finalize the National Irrigation Master Plan, and then urgently operationalize the Fisheries and Aquaculture Act of 2022. There's the tourism sector. Tourism has got a lot of potential in this our country, but it is neglected. Limited funding happening